All right, starting my watch list this week with Plug, P-L-U-G. Going all the way back to March, you had this crazy move here from $4 to 12. But since then, it's definitely settled down to a very tight range. A lot of people are always trying to trade this, and to me, these days are so narrow, I don't even mess with it. But it might get interesting here one of these days. You could argue that you're just in a very tight range. Let me get rid of those lines. I didn't really do that good of a job drawing them, but and now you've got this high from mid-June and a little bit of a lower high, but look what happened, and a nice volume pop too on Friday. So this is pretty interesting up over, let's see, that high from a few days ago, 512. So 513 could easily send it to 5 over this 525, and then you might have a short squeeze. So this one's interesting with a possible long at again 513. And if it were to, say, gap down and open in the 490s, another possible catalyst to get started would be 504, break of Friday's high. So say this opened at 495, traded sideways for a little bit, and you never know what it's going to do right now. But then I'd be looking to maybe nibble 504, add at 513, and then hopefully have it break through this 525 and maybe make a move to 6. Who knows? So Plug is certainly a nice-looking chart right now and worth having on watch. GameStop, GME, kind of broke a little sideways consolidation area on Friday on pretty decent volume for this stock, and it hit the 200-day. So we'll see. This is just on watch. If it can get through Friday's high 43.37, if it gets through that, this one could move. A lot of shorts in GameStop, so and it's holding up pretty well with that considered. So this one's on watch. Possible long. Let's see what else I have. CLF. You know what? It ran from like 14 all the way to 1650 back here in late June, early July. Pulled back, and then you had this secondary spike on over 10 million shares to kind of retest the early July highs. This was 1645, and what was this high? 1650. So up over that area, maybe people start to say, hey, this thing's bottomed, and they pile in. So you've got a couple catalysts here. You can see I drew that line there, which is easier to see on 15-minute candles. So up over 16 bucks. This one could retest that 1650 and maybe be a good swing if it had a strong close above 1650 or something like that. But for me, I'm just a day trader, so I'm looking for a push through 16 on volume for a potential intraday long on CLF. Yahoo, I talked about this on, I think, Thursday night's video, that it had nice support at 33. I'd be looking for a bounce. Never took a trade in Yahoo. I was doing other things on Friday, trading other stuff, but it still looks pretty good. You've got, just another bounce off 33. Looking for a potential long. One catalyst would be 33.36 or a break of Friday's high. So this one's definitely a decent long setup. YHOO. DKS, it's still, I've talked about this one a lot lately. It likes to hold 44, and it went down below 44 on Thursday, but then it's right back up above it again. There it is on 15-minute candles. So I'm looking for a long over Friday's high. 44.24 would be an interesting entry, a break of Friday's high, where they might say, okay, it held 44 again, and it's up from here. So I like DKS over Friday's high for a potential long. RKUS. Big volume day for this one. It's a thinner stock. You see it traded 539,000 on Friday, but it had a big volume day, about a week ago, a little more than a week ago. Ended up running up to almost 12 bucks. Switched to 15-minute candles, and then you can see why that line is there. So for a few days, it's had trouble with the 1145 area, and at the high of this 3-day base or consolidation is 1146. So 1148-ish or over 1150. This one might make a move back up to 12 and retest those recent highs. So that's kind of interesting. And it ran the other day with the Aruba Networks ARUN, and you see the volume spike there too. And that one's up near recent highs. So that's, I'm not calling ARUN. I just went with RKUS, but they're both decent setups for potential long. Couple cheapies, XGTI. Still love this one. We caught a trade in this one in the chat room on Friday from around, I think, 218, and it went over 230. So that was nice, but the daily chart still looks pretty darn good. And so now I've got a couple catalysts. If it breaks Friday's high, 232, you had this high from, I don't know, about 7 or 8 days ago of 235. So 232 should get us through this high and hit 236, and then maybe it's a short squeeze. It's a nice looking chart. It's been kind of quiet lately, so I think if this thing can start running, they'll pile in, and you can see some recent highs here, and you can see this movement made back in early March. So it's a lower float stock that can really move at times. So I've been kind of watching this one every day, and as I always say, it doesn't cost me anything to have it on a chart. I'll be watching it again on Monday. And then CBAK, really strong move, as you can see back here, all the way to $5. So let's get those out of the way now. And these things, when you have a strong move, a lot of times I look for a buy in the area between this blue and red line, okay, which it bounced there. And the blue and red line are simply the 8 and 20-day moving average. So, I mean, yeah, you've put in a lower high now, but you're also getting into that area. We call it the buy zone in the chat room. It's between the 8 and the 20-day moving average. So it could be ready to turn back up and put in a higher low after this big move. I mean, there's not much volume to speak of. This day you had, I don't know what it was, 6-7 million, something like that. And then the volume's really tapering off. So I'm going to be looking for a turn in a higher low here and a possible long entry for CBAK. What else do I have? NRG is in my notes. We had this on Bounce Watch on Friday. A couple members in chat took it down here when I mentioned that it could work on a 5-minute candlestick setup, which was, around, I don't know, 31.78, and ended up running the rest of the day. It wasn't huge, but now you've got a green candle, a nice bounce off support. So over Friday's high now, over 32.40, this one could continue higher. Again, I'm not a swing trader, but that still might give a day trade over Friday's high. What else do I have in my notes? I always want to watch KNDI. I don't have a setup here. It still seems it's a little bit ahead of itself, but I always try to keep that one on a chart. Micron, if this thing can come back down to 32 support, I'm very interested in that one, and getting a possible bounce off that 32 area, and that may or may not happen tomorrow or at all. And I think that's enough to start with. Looking at my notes here, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that for now. We'll find other stuff to trade in addition to what's on this list as well in the chat room on Monday. So have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you guys on Monday.